Hello folks, this is Damien here with Best Care. I'm here today to show you how to use our new PL500HE bariatric patient lift. This particular patient lift will lift up to 500 pounds and it's designed for patients who are totally non-weight bearing. So today I'm going to show you how the unit works. We're going to go ahead and start with the base and work our way up. You can see that the lift is designed to have 4 casters to allow you to roll the lift from one spot to another. 2 of the casters are locking casters to allow you to lock the lift. You can see at the bottom here, when I push the caster down, it locks. Push again to unlock it. So you're always going to want to lock it when lifting a patient from the floor, but you can leave it unlocked during the rest of the transfer process. We can also open and close the base on the lift by grabbing the handle at the back and moving it to the open position, and we can close it back down by reversing the process. We open up the base when we need to get around something like a wide piece of furniture or a wheelchair. We close the base back down to make it convenient for us to move it in a small room. The base can be closed during standard operation with the lift. Working our way up again, you can see at the very back of the lift, we have a battery pack system that is the system that actually controls the unit. And when we want to raise and lower the lift, we would hit the up button on the hand control to raise the lift, and the down button to lower it. The system is completely battery powered. There's a rechargeable battery system. The system comes standard with an electrical cord that will allow you to plug it into the wall and charge it when you're not using it. But if you so desire, you can buy a separate wall-mounted battery charger and battery. You can see we can remove the battery quite easily and switch the batteries out. So you can see how we can put the battery back in by tilting it slightly and clipping it back in place. Earlier I was showing you how to raise and lower the lift with the hand control, but if somehow we lose this hand control or it gets broken, we can still operate the lift at the back of the control box. So you can see there's a separate up and down button on the control box to raise and lower the lift if we need the auxiliary buttons. At the very top of the control box is an emergency stop button. When this button is pushed in, the lift will completely stop working. If we want to release the emergency stop, we turn it slightly and let it pop back up, and now the system can operate again. When we've been raising and lowering the lift, you can see that this motor here, the actuator motor, is what's actually going up and down when we push the up and down buttons. If for some reason there was a complete failure in the lift and nothing worked, we can still lower the lift down by turning the handle at the top of the actuator and lowering the system down manually, so you can take the unit down without the need for any power. At the very front of the lift is the spreader bar. This spreader bar is what we're going to use to attach the sling that's on the patient to raise and lower the patient. So you can see there's a couple of hooks on the spreader bar and a couple of safety clips. That's where the sling's going to connect. So the next thing we're going to do is show you how to transfer the patient from the bed, the chair, and the floor. So let's go ahead and go to the transfers. Hello folks, this is Damien here with Best Care. I'm here to show you how to use our Lico-Gouldman compatible sling. As you can see, this particular sling has 4 sets of straps on it, 2 at the shoulder area, 2 at the leg. This sling is available with head support, which is what I'm showing you here, and without head support. The head support system has plastic stays in it to support all the way to the head and the neck. On the very back of the sling, you will see a tag that indicates how to wash the sling and also what size the sling is. This particular size sling is a medium, and you can also tell by the yellow border that surrounds the sling. On the very back of the sling, you'll also see that there's a nice little pocket that's designed into the sling that you will use to help position the sling on the patient when they're in the chair. When you look at the straps that are on the sling, you'll notice in the shoulder area, there's 2 sets of loops, and in the leg area, there's 3. Those straps are designed for 2 different things, either to adjust the range, how high or low you want to raise the patient, or the positioning. Do I want the patient sitting up, or do I want the patient laying back? And the way that we do that is, of course, the longer the straps are on each loop, the lower it's going to go to the ground, and make it easier for a ground transfer. And the higher the loops are on the sling, the higher it's going to raise somebody. If I want to tilt somebody back, I use the longest loops in the shoulder area and the shortest loops in the leg area, and that'll tilt the patient back. If I want to sit the patient up, I do just the opposite. Use the longest straps in the leg area and the shortest in the shoulder area, and that'll sit the patient up. So what you're going to find with this Gouldman-Leco compatible sling, it's a fantastic sling for transferring the patient from the bed, the chair, or the ground. Now let's go ahead and show you how to use the sling. Hey folks, this is Damien here with Best Care. I'm going to be showing you how to use the Leco Gouldman compatible sling to transfer a patient from the chair to the bed. So let's describe first how to put the sling on the patient while they're in the chair. So you can see I can hold the sling in this fashion and get my fingers into this little groove right here. We're going to step behind the patient while they're in the wheelchair or the chair, and we're going to take the bottom portion of the sling and we're going to use our fingers to tuck it down. So you want to make sure your fingers are touching the bottom of that chair. Then we're going to bring the leg straps around the hips and underneath the legs. Like so. And give it a little tug until you have enough material that you can see a good bit of material around the person's legs. And then normally, we're just going to take the sling and crisscross it, like so. But if we have a patient who's severely contracted and in a position like this, we've got long enough leg straps that we can take the sling and bring it completely around the patient, creating a cradling type of effect. So now we have a secure way to transfer the patient who's contracted as well as a patient who has a standard transfer. We're going to bring around these little straps here in the shoulder area so we have access to all the straps. Now, I'm going to connect the sling to the spreader bar. When I'm going from the chair to the bed, I'm going to want to use the lowest loops in the shoulder area and the lowest loops in the leg area. And the reason is so I can get the patient up high enough so they're over the top of the bed. So let's hook up our shoulders and our legs. Let's raise the patient up. While we're raising the patient up, so I want to make sure everything looks secure on the patient. Once the patient is up, I move the patient away from the chair. I'm going to go ahead and close the base just to make it a little easier for me to maneuver. Need to go a little bit higher to get over the bed. Take the patient over the bed. Make sure their head's in a good position when you lower the patient back down. And now, lower the patient safely onto the bed. So that's how we transfer the patient from the chair to the bed. Hey folks, Damien here with Best Care. I'm here to show you how to transfer a patient from the bed to the chair with a Leco Gouldman compatible sling. The first thing we're going to do is take the sling and fold the sling in half, like so. The next thing we're going to do is lift the patient's legs slightly and roll the patient over, like so. Always make sure the guardrail's up on the other side when doing so. Line the patient sling up to the patient where you have the bottom portion of the sling at the tailbone area and the top portion over the top of the patient's head. Then we take the sling and lay a portion of it over the top of the patient. Then take the remaining portion and tuck it underneath the patient. Then we roll the patient back. And bring the patient towards you. Grab the sling that you tucked underneath and lay it out. And now we have the sling on the patient. The next step is to take the leg straps, bring them underneath the legs, and crisscross the sling. Now we're ready to connect the sling to the spreader bar. Bring the spreader bar over the patient, and we're going to go ahead and connect the loops of the shoulder to the hooks on the sling, and we want to pay particular attention to what position we want the patient in while they're in the chair. So we're going to go ahead and hook the shortest straps on the shoulder area. And in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and go with the middle strap on the leg area. That way, the patient will be sitting up when you take them over to the chair. Now, let's raise the patient up out of the bed. Always checking to make sure that the loops are connected to the hooks. And as you can see, the patient is starting to sit upright. This is the position that we want the patient in so that when we take the patient to the chair, it's easier for us to position them. I'm going to go ahead and scoot the lift away from the bed. Open up the base. Take the patient over the chair. And lower the patient comfortably in the chair in the right position. So now you can see how we transfer the patient from the bed to the chair. Hey folks, Damien with Best Care. Now I want to show you how to transfer a patient from the ground with the Lico Gouldman compatible sling. First thing we're going to do is we're going to roll the patient over slightly, lift the leg up, roll the patient over. We're going to fold the sling in half. Take the sling, make sure that the top portion of the sling is at the top of the patient's heads, the lower portion at the tailbone area. Lay the sling, upper portion of the sling around the patient, and tuck the remainder underneath the patient. Roll them back. And then take this material here, bring it around. Now, we're going to take the leg straps, bring them underneath the legs, and then crisscross the sling. Now let's connect the sling to the spreader bar. So we're going to approach the patient, being extra cautious to make sure that the patient is safe during connecting the sling. We're going to connect the longest straps in the shoulder areas and the leg areas to the spreader bar. Now that we're all connected, we're going to raise the patient up from the ground. Now we're ready to take the patient to the bed or to the chair.